Never do these 5 things when disrespected. The reality of disrespect and your power over it. Disrespect is something every person experiences at some point in life, whether it comes from colleagues, friends, family members, or even strangers. It can feel frustrating, insulting, and emotionally triggering, especially when it happens unexpectedly. Most people react instantly, driven by anger or hurt, and in doing so, they often lose control of the situation and, more importantly, themselves. What many fail to realize is that disrespect is not the real problem, your reaction to it is. The way you respond determines whether you rise above the situation or get pulled into unnecessary conflict. In this video, we will explore 5 critical mistakes you must avoid when faced with disrespect, and by understanding these, you will learn how to maintain your composure, protect your dignity, and command respect without saying too much. 1. Never react immediately. Master the power of pause. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct is often to react immediately. Your emotions surge, your heart rate increases, and you feel an urge to respond quickly, either by defending yourself or attacking back. However, reacting instantly is one of the biggest mistakes you can make because it puts your emotions in control instead of your mind. In that moment, you are no longer thinking clearly. You are simply responding to a trigger. This is exactly what the other person expects or even wants. By reacting immediately, you give them power over your emotional state. True strength lies in your ability to pause. When you take a moment to breathe and collect your thoughts, you shift from reacting to responding. This small gap between stimulus and response is where your control exists. By choosing silence in that moment, you are not showing weakness. You are demonstrating discipline and self-mastery. Over time, this habit not only protects your peace, but also makes others think twice before trying to provoke you again. 2. Never take it personally. Detach to stay strong. One of the most damaging things you can do when disrespected is to take it personally. When someone says something rude or dismissive, it's natural to internalize it and question your own worth. You might start thinking that there is something wrong with you, or that you somehow deserve that behavior. However, the truth is that most disrespect has very little to do with you and everything to do with the other person. People often project their own insecurities, frustrations, and unresolved issues onto others. When someone lacks emotional control or self-awareness, they tend to express it through disrespectful behavior. If you absorb their words and make them part of your identity, you are allowing their negativity to define you. Emotional detachment is the key here. This does not mean you ignore reality, but rather that you observe the situation without letting it affect your self-worth. When you understand that not everything is about you, you free yourself from unnecessary emotional pain. This mindset allows you to remain calm, confident, and unaffected, even in situations that would normally trigger others. 3. Never try to prove yourself. Your value doesn't need validation. Another common mistake people make when disrespected is trying to prove themselves. They feel the need to explain, justify, or defend their position in order to regain respect. While this may seem like a logical response, it often has the opposite effect. When you try too hard to prove your worth, it can come across as insecurity. It signals that you are seeking validation from someone who has already shown a lack of respect for you. The more you argue or explain, the more control you give to the other person. True confidence, on the other hand, does not require constant validation. Your value is not determined by someone else's opinion or behavior. Instead of engaging in endless explanations, it is far more powerful to remain composed and let your actions speak over time. When you stop trying to convince others of your worth, you naturally elevate your presence. People respect those who are secure in themselves, not those who constantly seek approval. Learning to walk away from situations where your value is questioned is not a sign of defeat. It is a sign of self-respect. 4. Never lower yourself to their level. Protect your character at all costs. It can be very tempting to respond to disrespect with equal or greater disrespect. In the heat of the moment, you may feel justified in using harsh words, sarcasm, or insults to defend yourself. However, lowering yourself to someone else's level only damages your own character. When you respond in the same negative manner, you lose the very thing you are trying to protect: your dignity. You become part of the same behavior you dislike. True strength is not about winning arguments or overpowering others. It is about maintaining your standards regardless of how others behave. By choosing to stay calm, respectful, and composed, you set a boundary without compromising your values. This does not mean you allow others to walk over you, but rather that you handle the situation with maturity and control. Over time, people recognize and respect those who remain consistent in their behavior, even under pressure. Your character is your reputation, and once damaged, it is difficult to rebuild. Protecting it should always be your priority. 5. Never ignore patterns of disrespect. Set boundaries and enforce them. While it is important to stay calm and composed, it is equally important not to ignore repeated patterns of disrespect. Many people tolerate ongoing negative behavior in order to avoid conflict or maintain relationships. They stay silent, hoping the situation will improve on its own, but in reality, silence often sends the wrong message. When you allow repeated disrespect without addressing it, you are indirectly teaching others that such behavior is acceptable. Over time, this leads to a loss of boundaries and self-respect. Setting boundaries is not about being aggressive or confrontational. It is about clearly communicating what you will and will not tolerate. This can be done calmly and respectfully, without raising your voice or creating drama. If the behavior continues despite your efforts, it may be necessary to distance yourself from that person or situation. Protecting your peace sometimes requires difficult decisions, but it is essential for your long-term well-being. Respect is not something you demand loudly. It is something you establish through consistent actions and boundaries. The power of calm confidence and self-respect. At the end of the day, disrespect is unavoidable, but how you handle it defines who you are. When you learn not to react immediately, not to take things personally, not to prove yourself, not to lower your standards, and not to tolerate repeated disrespect, you develop a level of emotional strength that sets you apart from others. This kind of strength is quiet but powerful. It does not rely on loud reactions or constant validation. Instead, it comes from within a deep sense of self-respect and control. The next time you face disrespect, remember that you always have a choice. You can either react and lose control, or you can respond with calmness and rise above the situation. In that choice lies your true power,